All right, everything is nice and dry. I've used my kneaded eraser to go around and clean up some little areas, some little bits of pencil marks that were still showing. I do have a couple of smudges, and that is from the glue seeping out. And you know what? It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's funny, every time I look at this, I see another little teeny pencil line that I want to get rid of. So if you don't have a kneaded eraser, this is my best friend. It looks like old-fashioned silly putty. And what I love the most about it is that you can kind of, form it into little points. If you need to get into little bitty corners, you can also use it to dab, think silly putty again, and it will lighten your pencil lines without removing them completely. Now it does pick up, oh my gosh, cat hair, any bits of dust, everything under the sun. So you want to keep it, I keep mine in a little sandwich bag. I just kind of cut the corner out and I smash it in there so that the air is not getting to it, because these do like to dry out. And even though they're not expensive, it's still nice to make your art supplies last as long as possible. So that's Kneaded Erasers 101 if you don't use one. So we are going to draw or tangle. Not everybody who is picking up this this kit is into the Zentangle world. Zentangle is a meditative art form that is done with repeating patterns, and it is quite lovely. It's very relaxing. But if you're more of a doodler, basically you have kind of made yourself your own coloring book, and each one of your sections you can do something in. So I'm going to show you just a couple of my favorite things to do. I did want to give a nod to OTOMI embroidery. So let's say I'm just on a separate piece of paper here. I love to do things off of my final and then move over here once I've figured out what I want to do. So let's say that I'm working on, let me get my pen going. Let's say that I'm working on one of my flowers. I'm gonna just do a quick drawing here. Get all 8 of my petals. Of course, it's not perfect, and that is a-okay. I'll give you the idea. So this again is that panda fly. Love this pen. It's just nice and smooth. So these would actually be the sections of your flower in all the different colors. But if you truly wanted to do a nod to OTOMI, you would make something that looks like embroidery, which is very simple. It is one continuous line. I'm going to start here at this tip, and it's going to zigzag softly back and forth as close as you can get to the previous line. One continuous line, because that would be like your embroidery floss, and maybe you'd rather have it come out from the center. But you could literally do this whole thing and make it look like it was embroidered. Depending on which pen you have will determine the width of the tip and how much ink is coming out, basically how thick that line is. But you could make the whole thing look like embroidery. That would be one solution. Another solution would be to use different Zentangle patterns. You could, for a flower, you could do something really simple. Like this is called fescue. Move this one out of the way a little bit. Just do a little fescue coming out. And of course we have super high contrast here on this practice one because it is the white on the black. But when you're using white on the different colored papers, it's much more subtle and has more elegance. You might do a little flick of the pen here in the center. You know, it's really up to you. Channel your inner 10-year-old when you used to draw all sorts of things that just made you happy. Now, one thing is with these gel pens, no matter what brand, sometimes they get a little bit of junk around the edge. So I come over here and I just turn my pen as far on the side as I can to kind of get that off and clean up the edge. So you could do something like that. Maybe on the branch that looks like a U shape. Maybe you do some orbs. This would be Onomato and Zentangle, where you've got those two bounding lines, and then you put in these orbs that are just right up against one another. Think if this were some sort of a pipe and you were putting water balloons in, that they would, you know, kind of touch on all sides and they would jumble up next to each other. And then you come back in and fill in those little bits of negative space. That's the little leftover pieces. You might choose something like that. On your feathers, one of my favorite tangles to use is Shattuck. So your feather might look a bit like this. And Shattuck would be taking a line and splitting the space. You could double up the line like this. And then what I do is I come and I make an arc on one side, connecting both edges. And then I do what is called an aura, just mimicking that same line. We'll give it one more. So I've got them going this way. Now I'm gonna start here at the top and go the opposite way and then kind of backfill in that space. This is Shattuck. Just like that. And you can fill in both sides, or alternately, you could just fill in one side. There's no right or wrong at this point. You are going to create whatever patterns you want in your Phoenix. And the nice thing is, if you end up with something like that, where you can see that I didn't, my pen didn't land exactly where I wanted to, and I kind of have this little blob, I'm gonna ignore that for now. When it's completely dry, I will come in with a black pen and I am going to fix that up. Like, I think I can show you this, even though it's a little bit wet here on the edge. Let me grab my black pen, which is at my other desk. So hopefully on the camera you can see it. I overdrew with the white a little bit. I'm just gonna take my black pen and go right over top of that. It's like a little magic eraser. So that's Shattuck on one side, and then if I wanted to do the other, I'd start with that arc, backfill with that exact same arc, then right here where I stopped, go the other direction. Do that same little line, back and forth, creating some nice texture that looks really great on those wings. If there's something else that you like, go right ahead and do it. These are just some suggestions to get you started. Just like that, just like that. And then what we will do as our last step, once you've filled in as much of your Phoenix as you want, an option is to come in, and I'm going to use my pen just so that you can see it, make some holes that go around your design. These would be holes, they would not be white dots, although you could do them as white dots. But what my intent is that these would be holes. And then I would thread my embroidery floss through my tapestry needle. I would put some cork or a rag or something underneath this so that I can gently poke through with the tapestry needle, and I would actually weave up and down through the paper with the embroidery floss to create you know, a faux embroidery. Now, I highly recommend, if you're going to take this last step, practice it on an extra paper, or if you come to your original, you know, I have extra space down here and up here because I'm going to trim this off and make it somewhat square. So I know I could practice down here if you don't have an extra piece of paper. I will often, if you look at the backs of my pieces of art, they will have all sorts of things on the back where I practiced, and then I would turn it over and then I would do it on the final piece. But you could practice doing some embroidery around the edge and personalize this, make it exactly the way that you want it. So I hope you enjoy this project and have a great time with it. I look forward to seeing what you've created, and we are going to be coming out with more patterns. This is just the initial one, is the Phoenix, but there's so much imagery that is used in OTOMI embroidery that we can marry with Zentangle and just have a blast with it. So thank you so much and have a great time.